South African jazz trumpeter Hugh Masekela is a legendary figure in world fusion music, renowned for his amazing artistry and innovative skill. Mr. Masekela gave a pre-concert talk on August 5, 2007 at Stern Grove Festival.
I went through many periods. I went through a learning period. I actually came to the States. I was brought to the States by Miriam Makeba as a childhood friend, and she convinced Harry Belafonte to help her send me to school. So they sent me to the Manhattan School of Music, and that's when my career started while I was there. One day I was in class and Belafonte was producing Miriam Makeba's second album called The Many Voices of Miriam Makeba. And he called me to come and play on 4 songs on the album. I played muted trumpet. And those 4 songs were played every night on WEVD, which was a late night show called Jumping with Symphony Sid. And he played them every night, and that's how my career started, actually, from Miriam's record. But we were very involved right away in the resistance struggle and in conscientizing people about what was happening in South Africa. And a lot of refugee students started to come out. So by 1963, we had started the South African Students Association, which was really to help our refugee students, our exile students, who most of them were at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. And then in 1963, cut to the chase, I finished at Manhattan School of Music, and I decided I was going to go back to South Africa to teach and to impart the knowledge that I had. Because my obsession had always been to come overseas to get the kind of musical education I couldn't get in South Africa. Even if I had been white, I couldn't have gotten in South Africa because they didn't have the level of education. And I always wanted to have access to the teachers who taught people like Miles Davis and Clifford Brown and Louis Armstrong and Dizzy Gillespie, because those were the people I was crazy about. So when I decided that I was going to go home, Miriam and Harry called me and said, "You got to be out of your mind, because Mandela and his friends have just been sentenced to death. And all your friends are running away. They're fleeing the country. They're coming out into exile. Most of them, most of the people you know are here, and a lot of them have been killed. You got such a loud mouth. You go back there. You go back there, Huey. They're gonna kill you. Nobody knows you, and we'll never hear about you again. And you won't be able to behave because you haven't been able to behave here, which is relatively free." So I was really, in fact, I'd gone to London when he called me back. He said, "You got to come back, man. They're going to kill you." And of course, they found my sister Barbara and they talked to her, and she was in London. She said, go back to America. And I said, "Well, you called me back here. What am I going to do now? Finish school." He said, "Well, try and make a name for yourself. You should stay here and make a name for yourself, and then, because you talk so much about South Africa, I'm so tired of hearing about your South Africa. I'm already banned from South Africa because of you and Miriam. So why don't you make a name for yourself, and then you'll have access to the media, because when you have a name, they'll all want to talk to you. And instead of talking about your house or your love affairs, you can talk about your country. And that way you can talk about your people, because the real price, the right price of fame, I'll never forget this, but the right price of fame is to give back to the people from whom you source." And at the time, Harry was the biggest fundraiser for the civil rights movement, for SNCC, for the SCLC. And so I looked at him, and I never thought about making a name, I said, I really came to the States hoping to be a sideman in Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers. And Art Blakey said, "Ma, go ahead, go and form your own group." And everybody turned me down. But Miles said, "Why you come so far to play jazz, man?" He said, "There's thousands of us playing jazz. Me and people like Dizzy, we just like it to be at the top, but there's a whole lot of us. If you play jazz, you're just gonna be a statistic." And he said, "But if you take some of that from your home and you put it into what you do, that's gonna be a..." But I said to Harry, "How am I going to make it? You know, how am I going to make my name?" He said, "Listen, we've sent you to school. We believe in you. We can't do everything for you. We can't make you. This one you're going to have to do on your own." And but I've always lived by that, the maxim that Miriam Makeba and Harry Belafonte and Miles and Dizzy and all the other people who helped me set, you know, as a level for me to aim for. And as a result, I lived vicariously in South Africa. My body was here, but our spirits, a few of us, our spirits were back home. And we monitored South Africa on an hourly basis. And we were not so much involved with the tragedy as much as what we can do to help, to conscientize people, to help us change. And of course, it took 20 years before the 80s when everybody who made a record by 1985, 86, 87, nobody was making a CD anywhere in the world without including Free South Africa or Free Mandela or Down with Apartheid. So to a very great extent, South Africa was able to pressure the government. I mean, the South Africans were able to pressure the government through conscientizing people all over, because then when all these people started recording all these songs all over the world, whether it was in China or Mexico, they really got angry and said, "Wow, what is South Africa?" And they you know, when they heard about it, and so they pressured their governments to cut off ties with South Africa. And so music and theater were really a major catalyst in creating change in South Africa. Of course, in those 30 years, I also got into a lot of trouble. But then I got into trouble when I was a kid anyway. My mother and grandmother always says, "What is the matter with you?" But I survived myself.
Your support helps make possible Stern Grove Festival's admission-free concerts and outreach programs. Please make a donation online at www.sterngrove.org.